Once again, I feel like I kind of blow myself away sometimes when I think about this experience. And so I'm going to try to do a couple of things. I'm going to try to share my screen. I have some beautiful slides. But if not, I'm going to talk to you today about, again, this is Living Powerfully and Better Together. Welcome. I'm going to slow down. I do get excited. Tonight isn't just another show, right? It's not just another conversation. It's not just another motivational moment, because I do think I'm motivational, informational. I want today to be an experience, a transformational experience where living powerfully isn't just, it's never been hype, right? It's always been about how we show up. And so again, I'm actually doing a TED Talk on this topic, and this presentation talks about the 3Gs, right? This legacy leadership concept, and it's the 3Gs we've talked about before: grace, gratitude, and giving. And it's really how I'm going into the new year. So I really want to pause and really focus on how we show up each and every day, right? I've heard of so many people who've passed away in such a short amount of time. And I think many of us think we just got unlimited time. We don't. Just so we're clear. Life is really about these choices that we make every day. And assume today is your last day. If that were the case, right? Tomorrow, the next day, none of those are promised. All you have are the moments that you have right now. And so I ask that we really just show up every day, right? How we show up in real life, how we show up in real decisions, right? How we show up in real leadership is really the legacy that I want to live. So I'm going to say it, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to continue to do it in a way that I hope this is a gift to you and to the world, actually. So when I think about better together, again, that's not a cute phrase, right? It's a strategy for survival, right? It's about healing and growth and legacy. If you just want to breathe with me for a moment, just take a second, right? We're not talking about just, tonight, right? Again, you all know that I was in Jamaica live during Hurricane Melissa. And it's not just a hurricane. It wasn't just about Jamaica, right? It's not just about one storm either. This is about how we live powerfully each and every day. How we show up moment by moment with the people that we interact with, the people that we live with, the people that we work with. How did you show up today? Do you ever think about those things? And I think when we change at our core, when it matters so deeply, right, things really can change for the better. And this applies to you and applies to everyone that you connect with. So this is about how we live powerfully every single day. Not when it's convenient, not when conditions are perfect, not when we feel inspired. So I don't want this to be inspirational, because it's simply time to be who we already are, who we already know we are all the time. So yes, I recently was in Jamaica during a Category 5 hurricane, one that they said was the strongest ever recorded since they've been recording hurricanes, right? I got it, right? The wind was violent. Yes, it was. The floors flooded. Absolutely. The building shook for sure. But I need to be clear. The storm did not change me. It just confirmed me. It gave me this deeper confirmation. It reinforced what I've been speaking about, living, teaching for the last 20 years. And I say 20 simply because I've been very intentional, right? That living powerfully is not situational. And that's why I use even that language. It's intentional. It's daily. It really is a lifestyle. It's leadership. It's really grace. It's gratitude, and it's giving. That's part of this 3P, right? This leadership principle that you can apply in every day, everything that you do, not just for storms. It's not just for emergencies, right? Not for Monday mornings. It's for hard conversations, right? It is for leadership decisions, right? It's for quiet. It's for those unseen moments. And you know what I mean by that. Those unseen moments. That storm didn't give me a new message. It packaged the message in a new way that no one can ignore. Like you can't ignore that what we all experienced, right? That's why we're here, not just to talk about surviving storms, but how we show up powerfully every day. So when storms come, we're not scrambling, we're not standing around, we're not shaken, we're not confused, right? We're not overwhelmed, right? We're not crowded, we're not in any way shaken. We're grounded. We are crystal clear. I want us to be anchored and I want us to be purposeful. Welcome to the Living Powerfully experience. Welcome to Better Together. And welcome to a conversation about how we lead through storms and how we lead on ordinary Tuesdays, ordinary Mondays, right? Wacky Wednesdays. Don't really matter. When there's no storm at all. If you can do this when you're in a storm, then you definitely should be able to apply these principles when you're not. Stay with me here. So here's the call. Now, I'm going to try to share my screen. I don't want to mess anything up. Let's see how this works. I want to try to share my screen. The message is around, let's see. We'll see what happens. But the message is actually around purpose. Panic set in around the country when I was in Jamaica. Like we could not leave. So there was a degree of, what do you mean we can't leave? What do you mean the airport is shut down? I mean, that would be a normal, natural, response in a situation where, you're being told that the strongest hurricane in history is coming your way and you can't go. Come on, you understand? Like there could have been a moment of like, I don't understand what you're saying. Can you please explain to me what do you mean by we can't leave? Because we did have people in our group that was like, hey, I got to go. My husband said I got to go. Bye, y'all. I know y'all got to stay, but I'm out of here. And there was an intent to leave. And they were like, airports are closed. Nobody's going anywhere. Sorry. So if you think about this concept of being grounded, being purposeful, being anchored, that's what this is all about. So when purpose meets pressure, that's when true legacy leadership is born, right? I need you to hear this clearly. Pressure does not create you. Pressure reveals you. I've worked with people, and again, the craziest, wackiest thing that I hear when people say, well, that's just not who I am. Changing in the moment is not who I am. Well, I don't understand. Like my brain is like you, but you're all about truth. You're all about, I don't understand. Like in my head, it doesn't comprehend. Like maybe I'm trying to get better every day and in every way. And I think other people are really trying to do the same, but it's like, well, I don't do it that way. I don't do it in the moment. Guys, let me just say this. In the moment is what matters, because how you treat people in the moment when the pressure's on, that's the true you. That's the real you. Any makeup, fix up that you do later, that's good too. But it's not the same. It is about what squeezes out of you when the pressure's on. Okay, so, we want to make sure that storms don't make leaders, but they expose who you really are, who's really there. I've been saying this for years. Every day is a choice. Every moment is a choice. And I feel so proud that I make a lot of bad choices. Let me be clear. But I also make even more good ones. Right? So not just when life is hard, but when life is normal. Even though we're talking about leading through the storms, this is not just about leading through the storm. This is about leading every day. When life is normal, when life is boring, when life is inconsistent, when life is heavy, right? And when life is beautiful, right? What happens when the pressure is on? Do we freeze? Do we lead? Do we react from fear? Or do we respond from faith? Do we crumble under pressure? Or do we rise with grace, with gratitude, and with giving? This isn't storm language. This is life language. And the storm just made it unavoidable. Because we couldn't go. We didn't have any options. We didn't have a choice. We were there and we were going to ride it out, come good or come bad, right? We didn't have a choice. So sometimes it's just unavoidable. And the reality is, and I am still trying to share my screen, but the reality is Hurricane Melissa hit Jamaica and it was a Category 5. Again, winds that were stronger than most recorded systems since they started recording hurricanes from what we were being told, right? And let's be honest, life has been a hurricane for a lot of people long before that hurricane hit. I'm talking about right here in the U.S. We got some shaky ground that we're on right here. But again, I happen to be over there, right? When hurricanes show up as, sometimes lives lost. But hurricanes can show up in our lives as jobs lost, as divorce, as sickness, grief, financial stress, burnout, betrayal, right? These are storms in our lives. And the only difference in Jamaica was that you could hear the storm. You could see the storm. It was a physical manifestation. It was right here. Like we couldn't ignore it. You couldn't ignore it no matter what you did. It was being broadcast on every channel. It was like, oh crap, Jamaica's going to be wiped off the face of the earth. Now, there was a little hyperbole there because clearly Jamaica stands. There was lots of destruction. The country stands, right? Those people are resilient, and what you could hear the storm, you could feel the storm. It was a physical manifestation. When these things happen in our life, they've actually been happening for years, decades, hundreds of years, right? For us as a people, we know that. And what I've always taught is this: you don't build strength during the storm, you build it before the storm. So meaning, we know storms are going to hit. Shenanigans is going to show up. We know that already. And so, okay, there's something weird happening. Okay, so apparently, I gotta move this camera back. There's some little view over here of me being super close up, and it is not attractive. So y'all work on that for me. Move this camera back, and hopefully that's a little better. Sorry. I just took a glimpse of that. I was like, ooh, that is not my best look. Okay. But I do want to share with each of you this concept. Hopefully I can share my screen. I'm still trying to figure that out. But whether I can share my screen or not, I'm gonna keep talking because I got all my stuff prepared for you all. So again, you don't build strength during the storm, you build it before the storm. So when I think about the actual physical storm that I was in at the Hyatt Zilara in Jamaica, our windows rattled, water spread across the floor aggressively, the power disappeared, off and on. Like we were like, what? We did have generators, so it wasn't like many people who were in the dark. We were not. But inside of me, regardless of what was happening outside, inside for me, there was calm. And for the people that were around me, there was clarity. Water starts flowing in, and Sabrina was like, let's go. I got the water. Let's use these towels, and they were rigging it. They were working it out. I was like, let me go get some more towels. I was out in procurement mode. Like, let me go get some more towels. Let me go get some more sheets. Let me go get some stuff. So I was running the halls, using the car. Like I was working it, right? And they were in the room. They were working. So we had a plan. Everyone was calm. Everyone was purposeful. Right, there was clarity. We do not want to be flooded out in this space right now. Let's do something about this water that is rapidly encroaching, in our living space, our beautiful living space here. So there was a grounding. And living powerfully is not dependent on the weather, right? It's dependent on alignment. We were all aligned in that moment. It didn't take a whole lot of conversation. It was activation. Right. But keep in mind, I was there for an empowerment retreat. I was there for holistic success. Holistic success was about, a year-long ecosystem of women who are being their best, at all times. We're focused on prayer and meditation. We're focused on all these 10 elements of our lives. Work that I train other people on. I'm also in a space where I'm around other people that are truly trying to get better. And when something goes down, these are women that are willing to talk to each other. Not leaving crusty, raggedy stuff around, lying and making stuff up, and I don't want to speak to this person anymore. Life is too short for all of that. It is too short. I don't even want to be around people like that because it's raggedy, right? So when you think about what happened in Jamaica, it revealed I'm in a good community of people, right? Things could have gone better in 100 different ways, right? But we worked it out. And it was so beautiful how we worked it out. We were aligned. There was grounding. Internally, we knew that we were going to try to get better. I had this thing. This is not part of my script, but I did have this little thing. My brain goes really fast sometimes. This is before the storm. My brain goes really fast sometimes. And I'm thinking like, I'm doing this because we came up with this thing that was called the Black Mamba. You know what a Black Mamba is? It's like a deadly snake. And you know what I mean? When they go at you, it's over. Right? It's not good. And so, let me see what's happening. I have good power. Okay. So what was interesting was, I have this beautiful PowerPoint up. I'm not 100% sure how I am supposed to, let's just see. Okay, it's on my screen. Okay, I'm going to try this, y'all. Let me know if it works. I need some audible confirmation from my producer because I am going to try to share this beautiful presentation that I prepared for you all. So I'm going to, I haven't done this. I'll just keep talking. Talk to me. I don't remember how to do this. Layouts, present. Okay, there it is. Oh, down there. Duh. Okay, so I'm going to present my screen. I'm going to share my screen. That's what I'm going to do. And then hopefully he's going to make it a separate thing. I don't know, but let's just see what happens. What are you saying? Okay, I'm going to share. I'm going to bring this in. I'm going to add this to the stage. Oh, there we go. Now I'm going to go back over there and make it big. And then maybe that'll be it. I think that's it. Voila. Tell me if that looks good. Okay. Yay. So this presentation that I did was about leading through the storm. And I called it the 3G legacy leadership. So we were talking about when purpose meets pressure, that's when true legacy leadership is born. Right. The reality is we did have a Category 5 storm. It hit Jamaica. And there's a lot of Black people because, Jamaica is a lot of Black people. So I want to make sure this applies to everybody, no matter who you are. We just happened to be in Jamaica and there was a Category 5 storm. The storm of the century is what they called it. And so inside of the storm, like I said, we were in a hotel and the water was rising. This literally was us. Literally. Walls were shaking, but our faith was holding. That was the beautiful part of this. And I'm going to go through this and then I'm going to go back and I'm going to talk to you all. I have 7 minutes. So I'm going to try to get through. Because what I was not panic. It was purpose. Talk to me if this isn't looking good. I think it is. Tell me if it's looking okay. I can't do both. I can't see and talk and all that. But true leaders are revealed not by their titles, but it's by what they do when everything starts to fall apart. Like this is literally what some of Jamaica looked like. It looked like a war zone. Mudslides inside the buildings because it just takes it down. I mean, some places were covered. It was pretty horrific, I have to be honest. And one of the individuals, and I like to call this man out because we were in a building, and you heard some horror stories in Jamaica. I know people were eating crackers and all kind of craziness happening. The general manager at the place that we were staying, which was called the Hyatt Zilara in Montego Bay. I plan to go back there in February when they open. I've just decided that that's an important part of what I do. Like I had to go full circle. But the GM was Adrian Whitehead. He was calm. He too was grounded, and he was unshaken. And what I loved about that is his quote was, "Every storm is a teacher." They learn something from every storm. And I love that, right? His foundation, when we asked him, he said prayer and meditation. We were like, how do you show up so calm? giving all the shenanigans. Every day it was something new. It was, it was shenanigans. I use that word loosely, right? He said prayer and meditation, and we were like, we understand that. We understand you. We see you, right? We see you. And it was so beautiful. And the revelation was that every storm is an invitation to live powerfully. And what was beautiful is Adrian is a white dude with an English accent leading a whole bunch of Black people on an island that is clearly majority Black people, Jamaica, right? And he was an extraordinary leader. I love this image, right? You see the dawn. That's literally how the beach looked. Once the storm had passed, it was calm. The air was fresh, right? And he was like, let's go. And his leadership team, but he had built something before the storm. He'd been through numerous storms. So every storm is an invitation to live powerfully in the moment. Guys, it's what happens in the moment that matters more than anything else. It was in the moment. So that was the revelation. Every storm is an invitation to live powerfully. You don't have to be in the moment. That's why we use the 3 G's: grace, gratitude, and giving. If we're saying that every storm is an invitation to live powerfully, then we're saying how you do that is with the 3 G's, right? That's the grace, the gratitude, and the giving. That's how you live powerfully. I'm sorry, I'm like looking, and my little pooches are moving around. So again, this is big, right? And then we talk about this concept of legacy leadership, right? It's leading beyond the moment, serving beyond the spotlight. Stay with me here. Legacy leadership. It's not about what happened during the storm, although that was major. He is staying connected with these families and these people right now beyond the moment. Storm is over. People are gone. Hotel is closed. We'll open up again on January 31st, February 1st, right? So beyond the moment, he is still there leading his people with grace, with gratitude, and with giving. Serving beyond the spotlight. Ain't nobody looking at no news broadcast over there right now. I'm trying to be a voice. Many people are too. I know many people are. But serving beyond the spotlight, right? Serving when no one's watching, right? The choice that we all have when things are cray-cray. Freeze or lead. It's the choice of fear or faith. And faith does not mean you may not be spiritual at all, but having faith and belief in something bigger than you, right? Are you going to collapse in the middle of shenanigans, or are you going to rise to the occasion? That's the choice. But that is the choice every day. Whether there's a storm over here, you see the shenanigans that are happening, things are on fire, and over here, we're just at the office. Hello? That's a very calm visual on the right-hand side. You still have a choice, right? How are you going to show up? Are you going to bring the 3 G's? If you bring the 3 G's, you can never go wrong. With grace, we're going to talk about what they are, and I'm coming up on my first break here. But this is the living powerfully strategy, right? This living power, this legacy leadership strategy, right? I call it the 3 G's of living powerfully, of legacy leadership, rather, right? It's grace, it's gratitude, and it's giving. We're going to talk about that. We're going to go into depth. I know I'm coming up on my first break, but I just want to make sure we don't just survive storms. We actually thrive through them if we allow ourselves to. We get to thrive through them. Yes, we didn't die, but how did you show up? I'm so proud of how we showed up, and I'm so proud of the follow-up to that. So again, I can't let it go because I was moved by these people, right? Legacy begins with the decision, right? It starts the moment you choose how to lead. It doesn't matter who they are. You see, they're faceless. These are faceless leaders because it doesn't even matter who they are. I was talking to people over there. They're like, I'm not even sure if I'm really supposed to be, but they were, they were doing interviews, and the people that were there, they were doing interviews. But again, it doesn't even matter. Legacy begins with the decision. And when you decide how you're going to lead, how you're going to show up, that's really what matters. So stay with us, and then we're going to go through the 3 G's, and grace is the first G. So stay with us. We're going to be right back. Let me see how this is looking. Hopefully it's working out. I can't really tell. Hopefully my producer will give me some lines. So guys, stay with us. Again, I could not be more grateful to be a part of this community, and more to come. Thanks.
Here with the Rainier Avenue Radio traffic update. You can listen to us in your car 24/7 anytime by downloading the free TuneIn app. Once you do, search Rainier Avenue Radio. And remember, do not curse out your fellow drivers. This has been your Rainier Avenue Radio traffic update.
Generational wealth. Generational wealth. Generational wealth. What is generational wealth? We asked our communities, and this is what they had to say.
Generational wealth to me means to provide and establish wealth for generations to come, whether it be through real estate or through other equitable funding, stocks, bonds, but first of all, I think that general wealth starts with the securing property. And that's it.
This campaign to create awareness to generational wealth is brought to you by the Department of Neighborhood's Generational Wealth Initiative, the Washington Housing Finance Commission, and Rainier Avenue Radio.org. Create your generational wealth for you and the future of your families.
Hello, I'm Tony Young, and every week I will be your guide to the music of the Fab Four with my show With the Beatles. John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harrison, and Ringo Starr, those four lads from Liverpool. First airings are Tuesday night from 7 to 9 p.m. with repeats on Thursdays and Saturdays from 8 to 10 a.m. right here on Rainier Avenue Radio. Tune in to catch Beatlemania.
Hey, Seattle. Tune in to Lidline Sports every Monday, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m.
What up, yo? We are back. This is Pep, and the man that don't take no mess, Mr. O.P.I.S., Mr. Stevenson. What say you?
I hope you see the hat that I'm wearing right now. That's how mad I am.
I do. Man, you are angry.
I just want to make that be known.
Tune in to Lidline Sports every Monday, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m.
Midline Sports.
Are your kids eligible for or enrolled in Apple Health Medicaid insurance? Bring them to a free dental clinic in Skyway this fall. Public Health Seattle and King County is hosting free dental clinics for kids 12 and under at the Skyway Resource Center, one Saturday per month, now until December. Visit kingcounty.gov/ABCD for more information. Again, that's kingcounty.gov/ABCD for free dental clinics for kids.
You are listening to Rainier Avenue Radio,
your community radio station.
Hey, y'all, this is Dr. Traci Harrell. You're watching Better Together and Living Powerfully. And what I am so excited, I'm probably not going to share the slides again because I have so much content I wanted to share and I want to get through this. I'll figure out how to do it another time. This is really important. This is the Monday before Thanksgiving, right? And so we all have so much to be thankful for. When I use the term grace, and I talk about gratitude, what perfect timing, right? What perfect timing. So we're gonna create a space for each of you as leaders in your own lives to literally show up in a way that would make your future selves proud, right? If there's ever a question as to how you should do a thing, grace is like, what would make your mama proud, your granny proud, right? What would make your future self, if those people are not the measure of your success, what would make your future self proud of how you handle a situation? If there's a question about what grace looks like, when you don't have to do a thing, when you don't have to pause. I'm going to talk about it in detail, but I really want to make sure we're all clear. I'm talking about leading through a storm, the three G's of leading powerfully. But the truth is, this is not about a storm, right? Living powerfully is not dependent on the weather, right? Living powerfully is dependent on how we are aligned with who you are and how you want to show up. The storm didn't teach me how to be centered. It showed me the value of practicing it every day. It just reminded me of how important that is. I was just so grateful that this is my life, right? I was so grateful. And what I witnessed was purpose. There was no panic. There could have been, even as the roof started flooding in and the water started coming in, no one panicked. We were tired, but we didn't panic. We just like, take a rest, check yourself, go to, you know what I'm saying? Like, right. People were checking on strangers. We were talking to the people next door, sharing towels. Like, don't give them everything, but let's give them half of what we have. Like, I was procuring towels, dropping them. I mean, it was beautiful. It was so beautiful. Like, we were comforting each other and praying together and just leadership in motion. And so when people practice presence every day, crisis does not create chaos. Like, that's not the default. I know a lot of the world is in chaotic mode. That's not my normal. It's not. Just because crazy people are around you, you don't have to respond crazy when crazy people do crazy stuff. Like, this happened to me in business recently, and I was like, that's crazy, but okay. I'm going to choose to do something different, which is probably totally unorthodox, but that's not me. Like, I'm not going to respond the same way other people might. And that's okay, right? These are choices that we make, and I'm weird in that way, and I'm okay with that, right? Because I'm like, I want somebody who brought me into this earth, my maker, to say, well done. I need for him to say, when he puts me on assignment, I'm like, he needs to say it's done and well done. Right? Not anybody else, not anybody's humanity. So it reveals character, right? When we practice this presence of grace and gratitude and giving, it reveals who you really are, right? It doesn't automatically create chaos because there's chaotic things happening around you, right? And character is what living powerfully has always been about. It's about your character. So leadership is revealed, right? Not by your title. It's by what you do when everything begins to fall apart. You know, this isn't new to me. I think I'm an incredible leader. And I have people coming to me all the time saying, girl, I'm so glad you did this. I'm so glad you said that. And not because I want to get the accolades. It's because I'm courageous in the sense that I believe my divine creator put me here to say things that the other people would not say. A lot of people are used to people being around them, telling them what they want to hear. That is not me. That'll never be me. So if you want a friend that's going to tell you the truth, I'm the one. I'm that one. If you want a friend that's going to tell you what you want to hear, I'm not that one. That's not me, right? It is not me. I can never do that. But I show up in community, right? I show up in community authentically, because leadership is not situational. It's habitual. Let me just say that one more time. It's not situational. You can't be like, well, I don't want to do it that way right now. And we're not always going to be perfect, but you got to always at least aspire. And then if someone says, hey, that ain't what you said you want to do, don't look like and feel like the person that you say you want to be, then it's ideal for you to be like, oh, tell me more. That's interesting. It has to be true for them. It may not be true for you, but it has to be true for the person who's calling you in. And I say call you in, not calling you out, because that's love for me. When somebody says to me, hey, which happened to me on the island, not because of the storm, just because we were close and things were happening and right. So storms don't make leaders. They show you who was prepared, who's truly a leader. So I mentioned Adrian Whitehead. I got to mention him again. He was the GM, the general manager of the Hyatt that we were staying at. It was called the Hyatt Zilara. Hyatt Ziva was the family side of the building, same place. Hyatt Zilara was the adult only side. It basically was one big building and one big thing. By the time the storm came, because they closed everything down and brought everyone into the main building, so there weren't really two sides anymore. There was just the main kind of building. So we were all basically all together. But if you ever have a vacation, I'm going to say go to the Hyatt. I don't have stock in the Hyatt, but what I experienced was a leader who cared. That man was like, the storm did not elevate him. It exposed him. The storm did not do anything but show who he really is. The man was calm. He was grounded. He was focused. He was present, not because of the storm, but because of years of daily practice. That's living powerfully, people. When something goes down and you're like, oh, well, what had happened was, that's why I was acting crazy. No, I'm always like, we're happy people. I say the words when someone like comes to me like, we don't even speak like that in this house. Like, we're happy people. And please call me out if I do something and say something that reflects the opposite, right? I care for you. We you know what I'm saying? So it's important to show up in excellence. Okay. So every storm is a teacher. I wanted to not show the slides because it would slow me down. I want to get through most of this today. Every storm is a teacher. That was a quote from Adrian. He wasn't talking about pain. He was talking about awareness. Life is always teaching us, storm or no storm, right? The problem is most people only listen when the wind gets loud. But life is always teaching us. It's in those whispers. It's sometimes in the silences, right? When someone stops speaking to you, when their voice isn't showing up in meetings, you might want to ask, what's up? Did I shut you down before and not know it? Because sometimes I do that. I'm talking fast. I'm moving fast. I'm right? I don't even know that I'm doing it. So clearly, let me be clear. I'm not pretending to be perfect. I got so many issues. It's not even funny. But I'm on a mission, right? My heart is pure, and I want to be exposed in the moment so that I can do better in the moment. That's the leadership side, right? So when we ask this leader who we experienced, we were all our lives and limbs, our food, shelter, and everything was under his control, right? That's why his leadership showed up. He brought everyone together. Communication was clear, like all the things one would hope for. But when we asked him, how do you stay so calm and centered and positive? He said prayer and meditation. So our whole group was like, you ain't telling us something we don't already know. We love it. Keep going. Thank you very much, right? And it wasn't religious language. It was leadership language, right? He meant daily grounding. There's a daily centering that happens. There's a daily alignment that happens, meaning what is your intention? How do you want to show up today? Is grace something that you aspire to? Some people don't care. They just want to keep it moving and they, know the answer is okay. That's cool. That's not me. That wasn't him. That's the kind of people, right? The storm or no storm, because leaders don't look for stability in chaos. They practice stability before the chaos arrives. They don't look for it. They bring it because they're stable. They themselves can be looked at as calm and grounded, stable, positive. That's who I want to be. That's who I hope you can be. That's what living powerfully is all about. So the revelation for me, again, let me be clear. This storm did not transform me in any way. It reinforced what I already knew, what I already taught, what I've already practiced. The living powerfully is not reactive. It is proactive, right? It's rooted. It's about being consistent. When I use those 3 G's, grace, gratitude, and giving, they're not crisis tools. They're daily disciplines. So this concept of legacy leadership is not about how loud you are. It's not about how long your impact lasts. It's not built in moments of emotion. It's built in moments of consistency. Consistency. Are you doing the right thing when other people aren't watching? Are you doing the right thing then? What do your kids say about you? Right? What do your siblings say about you? They could all be wrong, by the way, but hopefully you're listening. Hopefully you got your ear to the ground. Right? What do your parents say about you? Hopefully you're listening. Hopefully you got your ear to the ground. What are other people saying about you? People that matter. People that, not the people who are going to tell you what you want to hear, but the people that are brave enough to tell you what you don't, they're not the sycophants, right? Who are just going to tell you what you want to hear. So legacy leadership is not about how loud you are. It's built in those moments when nobody's clapping, when nobody's watching, when nobody's rewarding. And what Jamaica reminded me, not taught me, but it reminded me, is that legacy leadership is not situational. It is who you practice being before the spotlight ever finds you. It's who you practice being before the storm ever comes. So we can call it leading through the storm. But if you fully understand what I'm saying, it's about leading every day consistently. Leading through the storm is about the choice. Every day represents the same question. Do I show up with grace or do I show up with ego? Do I live from gratitude or from entitlement? These are the choices that we get to make every day, not just in the storm, every day. The 3 G's of legacy leadership is grace, gratitude, and giving. So it's the same questions, whether you're in the storm or waking up, going to work, right? Do I show up with grace or do I show up with ego? Do I live from gratitude or from entitlement? Do I move in giving or withholding? Storm or no storm, every day is a test. We don't rise to the occasion. We fall to the level of our habits. I just want to say that one more time. We don't all of a sudden become somebody new when the storm hits, when the pressure is on. We don't rise to the occasion. We actually fall to the level of our habits. So if you have a habit of being a person that demonstrates grace on a regular basis, when the storm comes, you're a person who demonstrates grace, right? I do it even more now, right? That's what we experience with Sabrina Jackson Gandy. That's what we experience with Adrian Whitehead, right? Again, we don't rise to the occasion. All of a sudden, the storm is coming and you're going to be your best self because all of a sudden I got my storm hat on. No, we fall to the level of our habits. So living powerfully has always been about making the right choice daily. I say decisions determine our destiny. How you decide to show up today, what you believe about you. Who are you? That is what determines how you show up. So this 3G strategy, it's a strategy, right? This grace, gratitude, and giving, it's not a moment strategy, it's a life strategy. Grace is how I show up. Gratitude is how I see. And giving is how I move. Let me say that one more time. Grace has to be how you show up. Grace. How do you show up with grace? We'll talk about that in a second. Gratitude is how you see things. You can see things differently. Something bad happened, but guess what didn't happen? Right? You lost power. We had to, you can list 20 things that didn't happen, but what 10 things can you say that are good today? Wow. We have a roof over our heads, right? We were eating good, right? Like, so gratitude is how you see life, how you see things, choices that you choose to see the best in a situation. That's gratitude. And giving is how you move. How do you move? Are you a person who wants to give to others? Oh, me, what can I get out of this situation? Right? This is not storm language. It's leadership language. I just want to make sure we're very clear. This is life language. This is legacy language. We've been talking about legacy, 40 years of legacy, 50 years of legacy. Organizations that I've been a part of that have met for 50 years, started 50-something years ago. The National Black MBA Association, the Tacoma Pierce County Black Collective. They've met every Saturday for 50 years. Come on now. That's legacy. That's legacy language. And how do they show up? They're very intentional about what they focus on. So if I think go from survival to thriving, we don't just survive storms. We actually thrive through them when you're living powerfully. It's not about surviving a storm. It's thriving through them. Thriving is not dependent on the conditions around you. It's dependent on your conditioning, right? What have you been doing? Does that make sense? We talk about being consistent. So thriving is dependent on your conditioning. And what we're doing here in Living Powerfully is conditioning daily excellence. So crisis doesn't break you. It proves you. It lets you show up and be like, hey, I did good, right? How cool is that? Legacy does begin with a decision. It begins the moment you decide how you're going to live when nobody forces you to. Do the right thing. Not one time, not occasionally, but repeatedly. Because legacy is not built in a day. It's built in discipline. It's built in doing things different and better every day. And let me just, we're short on time, but I'm gonna keep moving with excellence, I hope. I'm talking slower today than I normally do. So we're gonna talk about those 3 G's. I'm gonna go into the concept of grace. I'm gonna define grace. It's not weakness. Grace is power under control. Grace is choosing restraint when you could explode. Let me just say that one more time. You have every reason to think that that person did you wrong. You have every reason to tell the world how horrible they are. But your displaying grace is choosing restraint when you very easily could explode. You're just choosing not to. That's grace. Grace is choosing compassion when you could dominate a situation. Compassion for the other person. That's grace too. Seeing things from there, that's grace from their perspective. Grace is choosing peace in your heart, joy, when you could retaliate. You have every reason to in the world, But grace is not passive. Grace is strength with wisdom. I'm strong enough to say, I don't have to do that. Like, I choose joy. I want my maker to say, well done. So grace is choosing peace when you could retaliate. It's choosing restraint when you could explode, right? It's choosing compassion when you could dominate. Grace is a form of emotional intelligence, right? Grace is divine strength for some. We all say God gives us grace, right? But for all of us, it's the highest form of emotional intelligence. Grace is self-regulation. And you know how I was doing, I'm certified and do all this work regarding PQ or positive intelligence. And we talk about, self-regulation or mastering yourself. Grace is self-regulation. Let's see what's happening. Okay, I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, keep going. I thought I heard something. So grace is self-regulation. Grace is presence. Grace is emotional mastery before leadership mastery. So people who lead with grace, they may control others, but people who lead with grace, people who lead without grace may control others. But people who lead with grace, they heal others. When you think about grace as leadership, grace steadies the soul. Before strategy steadies the system. So I want to say that one more time. Grace steadies the soul, what's inside of us, deep inside of us. Before strategy, whatever you're talking about, steadies the system. You show up as a human being, connecting with another human being. That's going to steady their soul. They are now connected to you. They want to hear you. Before you have a chance to build out the strategy, before the system is steadied, right? This man showed up with grace and steadied our souls, right? Does that make sense? Grace is not about control. It's about containment. When a leader carries calm into a situation, it travels to everyone around them. When they bring grace to a situation, it too is infectious. We just want to do the same, like, oh, that was so good, right? Like, wow. So that's who you can be. That's why I'm saying it's a choice. It's not personality. It's practice. These are choices, right? Do you react or do you respond? We can react from fear or we can respond from faith. Reaction isn't instant. Response is intentional. Reaction is instant. That's where the Black Mamba thing came from. I am dark, so that's what the Black Panther, Black Mamba, right? It's more of a deadly aspect to it. So reaction is instant, but response is intentional. What response do you want to put into the universe? Grace lives in the space between the stimulus and your response. Something happened. Hopefully you breathe, smile, and decide. Right. And if you've been doing this all along the way, it ain't that difficult. These are choices that you get to make. Right. Grace lives in that space, the space where leadership is built. I'm going to talk a little bit more about grace. There's a few more elements, and then I think we're going to have to end on grace. And then next week we'll talk more about gratitude and giving. So grace in action. This is perfect, actually, because anyway, let me finish. Grace in action. Grace sounds like patience when someone expects pressure. So you basically show up like this lady owes me money. People that owe me money. Someone actually said, let's not do capacity building. Let's do fundraising. I'm like, huh? That's not what you need. I don't understand. I kept doing the capacity building. And now I'm going to give her invoice for the stuff that was the capacity building that she asked for during the time frame. But I literally did it for months for free because I'm like, you need way more than fundraising. And I did it. That was grace. That was me showing up in grace. She's like, that's weird. Yeah, I know. But God gave me the assignment to work with this particular group. And whether they know it or not, this is what you need because that's what we agreed to. That's what God told me to do, and that's what I'm going to do. And he's going to say, well done, and then whatever happens, happens. That was grace. You see what I'm saying? That grace sounds like patience when someone else expects pressure. So another lady owes me some money right now that's overdue. I'm not giving her pressure because she's trying to figure it out and work it out. I get it. She's good intentions, and it's the kind of person I want to work for, and she's figuring it out, and I'm going to make it work. Of course. That's grace. Someone that I owe, even though she owes me, was not giving me grace. I was like, man, I'm so glad I'm doing better than you are. That's us. And someone else that I owe actually said, you know what? I know you're going to give it to me as soon as she gets it to you. And I was like, thank you. Oh my God. I love you. Like, I will want to work with that person forever. This other person, I'm like, if I never work with you again, let me give you what I owe you right now, whether she ever pays me or not. And I'm going to give you an extra $100 on top of what I owe you because I need for you to know, I mean, you know harm. But in my mind, I'm like, this is not the kind of human being that I want to be working with moving forward. I'm just being honest. It's not. Let me double up. Let me double up on the giving to you. That's what I did with this other person. Let me give you more than you deserve, right? Giving someone more than they deserve, that's grace, right? Grace sounds like compassion, right? When someone deserves correction, even though they don't want it, this is what they deserve, but you don't do that. You're going to give them compassion. Here's the gift that I owe you. Grace sounds like listening when ego wants to speak. That happened to me when I was talking to the lady about the money thing. And she's like, can we cut this in half? And I'm like, I don't understand. What should we have a contract for X? I didn't understand, but I listened. And I was like, okay, I understand. Sounds like you. Now, we were 4 weeks into a 4-week thing. And I was like, okay, it's okay. I know you did, like she wanted to go back to half. 2 weeks in, I had already used half of the time because that was our plan. That was our agreement. So it was just kind of like, but I listened. That was grace. That was me offering grace. And I know she was just trying to work it out, think things through and figure things out. No problem. No problem. That was me offering grace because this is someone I love to work for. I believe in her vision and I'm going to continue to support them. And I'm going to do the part that God told me to do, regardless of anybody's human. When God says, this is your assignment, I'm going to do this work, period, in the story. And pray that I get rewarded appropriately. That's all you can do. So grace sounds like listening when ego wants to speak. And I did want to say something, but I didn't. I came back afterwards, but I just listened. I felt so good about it. Like, I was just like, oh my God, that was so good. I was even, like I said, grace doesn't mean weakness. It means maturity, right? It's divine. So let me just talk about a little bit of grace is freedom inside of responsibility. It's leadership that doesn't feel heavy because it's rooted. It's not forced. Does that make sense? There's a spiritual echo. There's 2 Corinthians 12:9. It says, my grace, I used to have this on a thing on my wall. My grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Let me talk a little bit about that because I don't always get to talk about my divine connection. But when God says, when you're creator, if that is what you believe, it's my grace is sufficient for thee. For my strength is made perfect in your weakness, meaning when you don't have enough, when you can't move forward, he got you. So that's how I walk through life. He got me. God's got me. I don't got to worry about nobody else because God's got me. So if I think about Maya Angelou, this is what she said, a modern leadership echo on this word grace. Maya Angelou said, people will never forget how you made them feel, right? Grace is how leaders manage emotions, not just metrics. Grace is memories, the memories that you create, right? Grace practice. So here's the question. I'm going to end with this. The most powerful leadership question is simple. This is what you can ask yourself. These are 4 questions. Just questions. We'll do an activation in the practice real quick. This is how we're going to end. The most powerful leadership question is simple. What would grace do here? What would this concept of grace, right? I just talked about practice and power and what you could do differently. What would grace do in this moment? Any moment. Not what would ego do here, not what would fear do here, but what would grace do in this moment? How would grace look in this moment? So this activation, grace is not perfection, right? It's a process. Right? It is for a process and it is a process. So when something doesn't work, when you show up with your black mamba and you done zip somebody and they're like, what happened? And you look and you laugh and like, okay, what happened? Point of clarification. Like, I want to fix this. I want to fix it immediately. It's how people hold together when life tries to pull them apart. That's grace too. Because that act could make people, like Debrina says it all the time, could make people like want to turn and walk away. Like, I'm not dealing with her. But if you're with the right people, they're like, girl, come here. Come here. Because I did not look good. You know that is not pretty. Right? So it's how you hold people together. Right? It's that energy that says, I'm gonna stop. Let me keep. I can keep going, but I'm gonna stop. I think we're close to time. Okay, 6:58. I'm giving times up. So y'all, I love you so much. This has been such an honor. I love Rainier Avenue Radio. Let me see if I have any. Do I have any announcements you want to make besides the fact that next is Lidline Sports? I think next we have Lidline Sports. Sorry about that. So Lidline Sports, right? The fastest hour in sports, hosted by Pepe Otis and Michael Carter. Y'all, they're coming up next. Stay here for Lidline Sports and join me next week. Please, please, please. We're going to continue to talk about grace, gratitude, and giving. We're going to go deep dive on gratitude and giving. And happy Thanksgiving. See you soon.